Hello, fellow truth seekers. Today we will share with you, as we promised in our last videos, we want to share our examples of faith.
Yes,
And the very first one that comes to my mind, it's us. It's our relationship, it's our marriage. And that was a big leap of faith for me, and I believe, Jerry, was for you too, right?
The marriage leap of faith had 3 or 4 smaller. God was preparing us to take that leap.
Step, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And really, when we first met, there was just, we were totally unsure. We were both sadly broken. We were terribly financially squared away.
I'm sorry, but I wouldn't say it sadly. Yes, you can say sadly from the physical point of view, but I think it was a great foundation for the marriage. When you're equally broken on many levels, which we were on many levels, equally broken financially, emotionally, spiritually, relationship, broken. And we're like, okay, let's do this thing. Let's get married. What else to do, right?
Well, but God led us, because when I first said, God told me that we should get married, that was like, hey, God hasn't told me. Yeah. But at the beginning, when we had just met and we had just decided that there was some steps in our life that needed improvement, we turned to each other. Even before we had any idea of getting married, we turned to each other.
Why? Because first of all, we had nothing to lose. And second, the most important thing that we realized, we are better together. We're making decisions better together.
That's bottom line, we were.
And that's what was a drawing factor, I would say, to strengthen our marriage, to build a good foundation. And
sure. We were just better together.
Yep.
We made the first decision together to actually, just practically speaking, financially, we'll share a home together, because we were both needing a roommate. And so we, just as soon as that happened.
And for you, beloved, if you think, you're talking Jesus here, but how come you guys got together before marriage? And I'm telling you, at that time, I did not know Jesus.
And I had backslidden so far. Jesus uses you where you're at.
Right.
That's the primary lesson. Jesus uses you.
Yep.
And let me tell you, the minute he uses you where you're at, don't expect to be there long. I'm just letting you know. We just moved in, and within a couple months, God moved us from there to Portland. Bam! And I'm going to Alosha from California. I'd say, if you want, we can go together, because we had already realized that decisions that we made together were just better.
Yeah.
And so we said, well, Portland, here we come.
Yeah.
And then once we were there, God says, Jerry, I have a different job for you. And so we said, okay, Lord. And then that job ended. And
we were broke, and we decided to get married.
Yeah, right.
That was funny.
And that took a little adjustment period.
Yeah.
And even after we got married on the Thanksgiving weekend, which was such a blessing.
8 years ago.
8 years ago, we then began to listen more to God. And as we listened to God, our decisions became even better. And from then, we kind of were going, well, hey, folks, we just got to keep doing this. And in that period of time, we started to go back to church, Bible studies, we got into the Word, and it kindled a new spirit. It started to kindle a new spirit in our relationship.
Right, but another example of faith, we have many. We have many, but we're just sharing the biggest one, I believe. Another biggest one, I would say, we started our own business. Did I know anything about business? No. Nope. Big pile of no. But I was so impressed by the Lord, and I said, Jerry had a lot of experience in business, in particular software business.
Yep.
And I said, hey, let's just start our own business. Let's just find those superstars in technology field. How hard it can be. Oh my gosh, that was a huge step of faith.
Yep. Not only did that happen, and we decide to start it, but at that time, a gentleman called us that asked us if we could help them in their business with our software experience. Mm-hmm. That I love Aaron Hickenbotham. He's a friend of mine, and he's a man of God. And we just were used by God to bless him. He was used by God to bless us. And from there, our business just kind of took off. And then after Heron became Magnolia Markets and Chip and Joanna Gaines. And again, these are more people that are people of faith. And again, we begin to see God was leading.
Yeah.
And from then, that was 8 years ago? That's 300 customers later and the blessings. But what became even bigger, God led us together, then he led us to a business. And then as soon as he can get you where you're living by faith, he wants you in the next step.
Right, and it's never-ending process. The growth of faith will never end.
I know.
As long as you look for God and looking for His presence and for His Spirit, it will never end. He will continuously grow you in faith, because without faith, it's impossible to please Him.
That's right. Now, just look
Do you want to please God? I do want to please God.
Yes. We do. And when you please Him, He blesses you even more. Yep. So definitely we want to please Him. But what Alosha is saying here, which is massively challenging for you fellow truth seekers, and here it is. If you ever want to get to the point where you have arrived,
oh no.
Then if you have arrived, you don't need faith anymore. And even though Alosha and I look back on our past and we go, wow, it's very cool. God is blessed. But I will tell you, this week we are praying and praying. You can't imagine how much we're praying this week, because God has led us to make another decision and another step, and we're following His leading. And now,
even though we don't see where He's leading yet, we just don't see it. We just kind of, when you're behind, you don't see what's in front. When you're behind Jesus, you just follow Him. Very often you don't see what in front of Him, where He's leading, and that's how I feel right now.
Well, He led us to do this message He led us to write a book.
What I'm trying to say on a bigger scale of things, because you mentioned that we're praying constantly this last week about our business situation. On a bigger scale, you don't know what God has in mind. I know it's good.
And
But sometimes it's like, oh Lord, what's going to happen? We don't have this, we don't have that, we don't see this, we don't see that. But this is how you grow in faith.
And I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord.
Yeah.
Plans to give you a hope, plans to give you a future. And in James 1, it also says, if you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives without reproach. So even if you haven't used wisdom for smart and intelligent decisions, if you want decisions to be different, just ask God and he gives it to you. But the challenge is he asks you to not doubt.
And with that, I want Jerry to share our last example of faith. I want you to share quickly the book experience, because you are on a second book right now. Jerry's writing a second book, but the first book, it was such a great step of faith. Please tell us.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'll make it quick.
Yeah, quick.
The short version.
Short version.
We went to a Friday night service at this church, and there was a rabbi there who was preaching. And first part was very good. Second part, he said, you Christians aren't quite as good as us Jews and as favored by God as us Jews. And it was like, excuse me?
Yeah, the whole congregation kind of turned their ears.
And so I said, I don't think I agree with that.
Yeah.
And we walk around this little lake near our home, and
Jerry's passionate. He's angry. He's pissed. What's going on?
And so this was in what, 21?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was in just as COVID was coming. Yes. COVID had come, and this was in August. So COVID was back in March. And we had applied for a small business COVID loan.
COVID loan.
I mean, I didn't know. So we thought, that's great, let's do that. Well, we didn't hear anything. For months. So this Friday night, I'm pretty passionate. I'm telling you what, Alosha, if God puts that SBA loan in our bank account, now we hadn't heard anything for months.
By Monday, was a Friday night, Shabbat service.
Yeah.
Yep.
By Monday, I'm going to write a book on this so that I can make sure everybody knows the truth.
Right.
On lost and found.
Yeah, particularly the truth about Jews and Gentiles per se.
And who is lost and who can be found in God's plan. Yeah. Short version, Sunday afternoon, money's in the bank.
Sunday afternoon, when no banks open or working or any government.
Government doesn't work on the weekends.
Right.
However, we got the email that said, you can check your bank account tomorrow morning. And I'm thinking, how can they give us the money? We didn't sign anything. Well, with God, trust me, if he can make money come from a fish's mouth, he can send an email on Sunday that says, check your bank on Monday morning. And we did. And that's how Jerry started to write this book, Lost and Found. And now, today, I am a proud wife of this man, because you can find his book on every platform. And today's what, 18th? 8 days ago, it was already on Audible as well. So you can now listen to this book. Yep. And here's the 3 things I want you to tell what people would know after reading your book.
3 top things.
You will be confident there is Jesus. Just period. You'll be confident. You will also know you can be saved. And you will know at the same time how to share this with your friends and family, because the idea of this book is to show you the way to the lost kingdom of heaven. And that has grown us in faith to Talking Jesus, and that's grown us to Quantum Church. That's grown us to a lot of new adventures, of which we're really excited for. And we'll tell you more of those in our next journey with you. Thank you very much.
Bye for now.